all done and talk about where we can work together on that.
Now it says it's going live. I think we might be live, but I'm not totally sure. This is always it says we're live, so
That's where we're live.
we're just gonna hope that's working. But my husband is gonna text me if he sees us live. I'm actually going to see if I can see us live on Facebook. This is where we just chit chat for a minute.
Yeah.
Make sure we're actually live.
I think with Zoom, there is a little bit of a delay.
Oh, look, we are live. Let's see though, what this says. I see us on my iPad. So that's good. So we usually will wait a few minutes, and as we get people tuning in, if you guys are there, if you can just post something in the comment section so we know that people are actually seeing this. We do have a few people on, so that's good.
We have a full Zoom room today. We're excited about all of our guests.
Angie said we're live, so that's good. Confirmation. You love technology except for the slight. So
How do you go? How do you see it? Where?
if you go to the Dog Gurus Facebook page and then go to the video section, sometimes it'll pop up, but I usually go to the video.
We're there.
And you can see.
Yeah.
Just make sure your volume's turned down, because one time I made the mistake of checking to see if we were live and I did not have the volume turned down, which is not a good thing. But we are live. So if you, I'll just turn it over to you, Susan, if you want to get started.
All right, well, we're excited to have 3 guests in our Zoom room. Interesting things, I think lessons learned. Everyone that's here are have been in the pet industry for a long time. We'll have them introduce themselves shortly. But I think one of the things that we have found really interesting about this crisis is what we're learning about our industry and different revenue streams. So we have brought together who we feel are the top experts in some of the revenue streams outside of daycare and boarding. And they're just going to talk a little bit about their observations, introduce who they are and how their side of the industry has gone with this pandemic. So we're going to start with Candace, who is our kind of go-to expert on all things retail. So Candace, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself and your business and kind of what.
Sure. Well, thanks so much for having me. And I'm excited to be participating in this virtual conference coming up very soon. So my name is Candace Daniolo. I'm the founder and president of Pet Boss Nation. And Pet Boss Nation is a coaching and consulting community that helps mostly brick and mortars in the industry, because we believe that a brick and mortar and even lifeline to helping create thriving communities in our local communities. And so we help our clients through a variety of ways. And a big focus of ours is retail, because that's my background. I've had my own retail stores as well as a doggy daycare. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to sell both over the years, but I understand the ups and the downs that we're all facing, because I've, as many of the people here, I'm sure, that are on this Zoom as well as watching have already been through a lot of struggles, but this is like something we've never seen before, right? In our community is that with the retailers, it's like they were slammed with business up until even just a couple weeks ago, right? People were buying like crazy the dog food, and they couldn't get it online. They were going into their local stores, which was great. And there was this big influx of traffic. A lot of retailers were seeing double, triple sales, like bigger than Christmas revenue. but we knew that that would have to stop at some point, right? You know, now it's really slowed down because everyone is stocked up. The good thing about the retail piece of it is that a lot of that is considered essential, so they're able to stay open. But the struggle for the retailer too, or any business who's open, is that you have employees who maybe don't want to come to work right now, right? And you've got people who are sick, or you've got other major revenue streams like grooming that's been shut down, and so that really hurts the overall, you know, picture. So, you know, everyone is hurting. I mean, some of the retailers that have been smart about it have gotten their online stores going quickly, started offering delivery right away. That's really growing for them, is delivery, and then they have curbside pickup too. So,
All right, so if you're out there and have questions about your retail, or if you should consider retail, put it in chat. We've got Candace here to help. So we're thrilled you're here, Candace, and so we'll let Joe, who some of you saw because we did a live with Joe earlier about grooming, but like Candace, Joe's our go-to expert for all things grooming. So welcome back, Joe. And you want to kind of give an overview and update of your group and what you're seeing on that grooming bathing side?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Gurus, for having me back. And what a really cool opportunity it is to kind of have a roundtable with some other pet care service providers, the experts in your own areas. Yeah, so on the grooming side of things, it's been an interesting ride. You know, grooming, there's been a lot of this. Well, my name is Joe Zuccarello. I get to lead a really fantastic team of educators at Paragon School of Pet Grooming. We have an on-campus school in Grand Rapids, Michigan, but we also have a distance learning program where people all over the country can take our grooming education and either train from scratch, hire new people, train them from scratch, all the way up to average and to above average dog groomers, all through a distance learning program. The other half of our business is the team at LearnToGroomDogs.com. LearnToGroomDogs.com is sort of like Netflix for dog groomers. So we've got unlimited access to 1,000 professional grooming videos, both on based on skill level and even into business practices as well for owners and managers. So so we've got the streaming library like Netflix for dog groomers called LearnToGroomDogs.com, and then we have our distance learning program for Paragon. And yeah, grooming has had an interesting response to this current crisis and such, in that there's been a lot of, you know, conversation back and forth, whether it's an essential business, not an essential business. Do we elect to close? Are we mandated to close? How long are we closed? So some of the same challenges that everybody else is facing. But what's interesting, and what we've really watched happen, was that a lot of folks that are out there, owners, managers, or even folks looking to maybe make a career change, are using this time to invest in themselves or invest in their people, especially by way of dog grooming. So there are a lot of individuals who are changing gears and looking to become a dog groomer and do something that they've always maybe wanted to do, so that they love it. But there's a lot of business owners and managers out there of pet care facilities that are, you know, they've had grooming and they didn't have a really great experience with grooming, or they want to have grooming and they've heard of others that have had a bad experience with grooming. What we do is at Paragon and LearnToGroomDogs.com, we step in and we say, well, let's go ahead and maybe change that culture, change that mindset, so that when you grow your own groomers, these are folks that, you know, you essentially start from scratch or start from very little skills. And it certainly makes managing and leading a grooming department and thriving from a profitable grooming department much more attractive, much more tolerable, and creates a 100% customer experience at your facility. So whether you are a lodging, daycare, or training facility adding grooming, or for some of my grooming professionals out there that, you know, you might be Betty's Pet Shop or Betty's Pet Salon out there, and you've thought about what else can I do to make more money? Well, your knee-jerk reaction is what? Groom more dogs, right? Well, it doesn't have to be that way. Maybe you hire a personal trainer to train dogs in the lobby. They don't need a lot of space. but they can generate a lot of revenue, a lot of profitability, and offer more complete services, or some really great niche retail items, right? That serve the customers as well. So yeah, so we understand dog grooming, but we also understand how grooming can complement other businesses and how other services can complement grooming. So thanks for having me again. I'm sure we'll have lots of questions to answer.
Great. So if you have questions on your grooming or adding grooming, get those in, and we're going to have Mark, because Joe kind of talked about dog grooming or dog training doesn't necessarily take up a lot of space in your center. It doesn't have to. Sometimes we think it does, but we're thrilled to have Mark. He's representing APDT, the Association of Professional Dog Trainers. So Mark, go ahead and talk about what you guys have seen through this.
Okay, thank you very much for having us here. I represent the Association of Professional Dog Trainers, and what we have been experiencing and finding is that a lot of our trainers that do, the private in-home sessions or do group classes, that business has kind of been put to the side because of the COVID-19. But what we have been noticing is a lot more trainers are doing teletraining, which they are, doing video training through either Zoom or Facebook or Google Duo or Skype. We've also noticed that a lot of the trainers are doing distance training, where they will go to an outside area and they'll stay there the 6 feet apart and they'll be working with the clients that way. I have personally seen a huge increase in the number of teletraining, people wanting to do more and more teletraining through FaceTime or Zoom. My private sessions have drastically increased. And I also, for the businesses that have doggy daycares, we're also seeing a lot of people working on how to maintain their employees in an essential community. For example, my facility is close to a hospital, so we are getting we've catered to the medical staff, the doctors and the nurses and, practitioners that have dogs. We've encouraged them to come in and, let us take care of their dogs while they're working the 18-hour days. So a lot of our trainers have had to re-niche their market, re-look, go outside of the norm of what they were doing as far as trainers. And some of them have had to expand on some of their services, offering a little bit different type of services, as well as marketing themselves a little bit differently. So that's what we're catering to right now. And that's what we're looking to assist our members in changing the way in which they're doing business and they're looking at their clients.
I think that's great. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions about online dog training. I know Rob and I've fielded some of those in other sessions. And so we're glad you're here to help answer those. And we invited Beth Stoltz with Pet Sitters International, and Beth woke up without a voice. So she's on our chat, and I'm going to do a little bit of speaking for Beth real quick so that we're covering, all these service areas as far as what she's seen from the pet sitting and dog walking. They've definitely felt the impact, and of course, seeing that the businesses who focus primarily on pet sitting for vacation travel have been the most impacted. But they've seen that some have been able to continue offering services if allowed where they live or shelter in place. And especially like Mark said, if they were made up of the medical professionals or first responders, they've been able to continue their business. For some that are deeply impacted, PCSI has been working with them to share resources and ideas to boost their business. And some of the success they found is encouraging clients to pre-book for future services or buy gift certificates,
Yes.
Expanding services to include pet taxi or food delivery. And some have even found that clients who are working from home have opted to have them continue to use them for daily dog walks or pay if they don't need the services, which I think all of us have probably seen stories like that where some of our clients in this industry have really stepped up big as far as paying for services that they're not going to use. So, Robin, are there any questions?
Not yet, but I did post everybody's links in there, and Beth is in the chat. I just see her tune in. So if you have questions about pet sitting, you can definitely still ask those. I was going to jump back to what Candace was saying earlier about the retail. We have had tons of our clients, and Candace was the first person that kind of clued us into etailpets.com and how easy they are to use and all that. And then it was funny because yesterday I went to order my own dog's food, and I called them, which is what I normally do because I get frozen food. I feed a raw diet. So usually I call in advance, and they said, oh, you can order that online now. And I just had to laugh. And then I went and ordered it online, and I noticed just at the last second in the checkout that it was Etail Pets, but you really can't tell because it looks identical to their website. But I thought Etail Pets is doing really good right now because so many people are switching to online. So I was able to order. They actually are delivering. Unfortunately, I'm out of their delivery area, so I'm going to go pick mine up. But I already got a notice that it was in the store and I can go pick it up. But I think retail is a huge area that a lot of folks have just not bothered to do. In fact, we've heard from a lot of people that thought, I've always wanted to do retail, but just never really bothered to add that to my revenue streams. And now that they have a little time, they're adding those things. So, but that was one of the things that we learned really early on from Candace. And I think,
Well, and if I
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, if I can add to that, I think, as professional pet care providers, whether you have, I think that the best chance you have to offering retail is when you have multiple services. So let's say you are a lodging and daycare facility and you add training and you add grooming. A lot of folks think that if I sell pet shampoo, then all of my pet parents are going to go and they're all going to bathe their own dogs and they're never going to need groomers again. Just the opposite. I think what happens is they go home, they bathe their own dog, or they try to bathe their own dog, and they have now a greater sense of appreciation and value for their professional groomer. So I encourage pet parents to purchase retail. Now it's great also. It's not just one of those things that you do it knowing that they're going to just value the professionals even more. That is absolute. But when they get a retail from their pet care provider, it comes with such an endorsement. It's such a personal transaction that their pet care provider is saying this is what you need. And I think that's something that as a pet parent, I've always appreciated about a limited amount of perfect retail offering in pet care service providers.
Well, and I think the great point is when people are first saying, I don't know what to sell, I always say, sell what you're currently using. So when I was doing training, we always had the pet parents bring in treats or, clickers we usually provided for them. But then I sold those things. Same thing, like when I go get my hair cut, my hairdresser is selling hair product, and 9 times out of 10, I will buy that from her because I see her using it on my hair. So why not? I mean, I know it's good because I like the way she does my hair. Same thing. If you're selling, if you're doing dog training and you're using Climb, sell the Climb. If you're using the Kin Bowls, the clean bowls in your lodging facility, sell those. If you're, whatever stuff you are actually using in your facility is a great first step to what you could probably try to sell to your pet parents because you're already using it.
What I do is like when we do private, I always recommend for trainers when you do private sessions and you're going to use a specific treat, make sure that you have those treats available in the trunk of your car to be able to sell to those clients, because a lot of times the private clients that you go to don't necessarily want to go to a pet store to try and find the treat that you use, and having them available to them to purchase right then and there. The dogs, if they see your dog using that treat or taking that treat from you that you're using, they're going to be a lot more apt to use that treat with their dog because they know their dog likes it.
And
So.
Candace, I know you have really specific, and I know this would be a whole session, so just give a few tips, but I know you have some specific suggestions for how to figure out what to sell and what turns over fast and how to help people actually not have inventory sitting on their shelves. So do you want to give any tips for some of that?
Yeah, Courtney, I love everything that's been brought up already is so important. And even what Mark just said there, I mean, really retail products is about convenience. And that's why online products or buying online has grown so much because it's just convenient. So for a dog trainer to have not necessarily like a car full of supplies, but enough supplies to meet some demand and upsell, that's fantastic. And to your point, Robin, about selling what you use, I mean, that's a great place to start. And I think oftentimes people get nervous about feeling like they're going to have to invest a ton of money into bringing a bunch of products in, where there's a lot of great resources out there, which we'll talk about in the virtual conference too. But, eTail Pet doesn't provide the product, but they can get your products online quickly. And they also partner with one of our other favorite companies, wholesalepet.com, right? And wholesalepet.com has a ton of manufacturers, hundreds and hundreds of manufacturers who have low minimums, right? So that you could order a low amount from them. But a lot of them, I think there's like 10,000 SKUs that are on Wholesale Pet that drop ship to your customer. So you actually don't have to carry any inventory, and it will all drop ship from those manufacturers on wholesalepet.com. And eTail Pet is the platform, the online platform that will get all those products onto a website for you, and then you can drive your local customers to it. So that's a great way to just kind of get started in general without really that much investment. Obviously eTail Pet has you have to pay for it every month, but so there's that. But I guess I'm going to kind of give it away here, but one of the sessions that I'm teaching, let me see which one it's in. I think it's going to be in, what's this one called? It is probably inventory. Yeah, it's just the inventory management 101. We're going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing that session. And my biggest takeaway that I think everyone kind of laughs about when they start working with me and realizing is that anybody who sells inventory right now or who has had a problem with inventory in the past or says it doesn't work for me, it's never going to work, or hasn't worked, it's because you've been a museum. And you're not a museum. You're not a museum, okay? You cannot just buy inventory and let it sit on the shelf and hope it sells itself. It's going to collect dust. It's going to get old. It's going to expire. If your customers didn't buy it or show any interest in it in the first 30 days, they're not going to like it 6 months from now, let alone a year from now. So you are not a museum. Things should never have a birthday. There should never be a 1-year anniversary, 1-year birthday of any inventory you ever carry. And so you got to let it go. Discount it, move it out, bundle it, gift it away, whatever you need to do. Because the biggest thing about retail products, when you actually carry the product, is that your dollars are tied up into that product. And so the faster you can turn it and burn it, the faster you can make money from it, right? So,
which is, I just actually saw yesterday in our Facebook group, somebody was talking about things they're doing right now to help generate revenue. And they actually are doing just that. They did a whole bunch of Easter baskets that they actually sold last week, where they just took, fun stuff they had purchased because they were going to sell it at Easter. And obviously that was going to, be a limited time. So they actually created baskets and bundles of stuff and sold them. She said they pretty much sold out of their Easter stuff. And then now she's bundling like pandemic packages and offering those for a, bundled discount rate. And then they're allowing people to either pick them up and they'll just set them at the door with the person's name on it after they paid, or they do some delivery as well. But it's the same thing. She's kind of using this opportunity to say, okay, let's clean up some of our inventory that might be in that museum status. So I think that's a really good, I love that analogy though, that you're not a museum.
Yeah. And we teach a lot of the stuff that we teach in the Pet Boss Club too, about these products. And one of the things we'll be teaching at the conference is, the mystery bags right now, mystery bags, surprise baskets, bundling like those Easter baskets have all been really popular. And then you've got to find a way to sell them. But that's a great, which is like, we teach a lot about selling on social media, which is one of the sessions we'll be doing too for you guys, is how to take that product and then utilize social media to really drive revenue. We have some, it's really kind of a mix. Sometimes we have some retailers who maybe have only sold 12 Easter baskets, right? And then we had people who sold 75, even I think 160 Easter baskets to their customers. And so those surprise bags, mystery bags, I think people are even doing 420 is coming up, right? April 20th is coming up. They're doing like CBD pot themed bags. And then they're going to be doing for Mother's Day, right? There's going to be some Mother's Day surprise bags too and boxes. So lots of opportunities to put a theme to something.
I think you have a lot of fun in this retail thing.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, join it for the fun.
Right.
I was talking to somebody about adding on retail and stuff and referred to my dog pantry because I have so many different kinds of treats. And they said, just the fact that you called it a pantry, I'm like, I think I have a dog treat problem.
I have a whole, yeah, I have a whole shelf in my pantry that's just the dog food. And occasionally I'm like, why are the pretzels up here? This is the dog shelf. I mean, usually there's no room for any extra things because it's crazy how full it is with dog stuff. I think it is a problem, actually. I think I need some kind
Do
of.
you have that club, like Dog Treat Fanatics Anonymous or something? Candace?
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, that's a great subscription idea right there, right? The treat of the month.
Exactly.
So Candace has talked about speaking at our conference, and the other thing that all these folks have in common, including Beth, is they have graciously agreed to provide education tracks for our virtual conference that is going to be on April 29th and 30th. So the good news is there's going to be a lot of educational content that you can choose from at the live conference. The bad news is you won't be able to see 5 tracks simultaneously. However, everything will be recorded and on demand, but definitely plan to join us live. And Joe, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're going to be presenting and having in the grooming track?
Can I jump ahead of you for a second, Joe?
Sure, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say one of the things that you always stress, Joe, and this for those that are tuning in right now who have thought about maybe how do I hire a groomer? And this goes for the trainers as well. How do I hire a trainer? And one of the things that Joe, probably more than anyone else, has influenced on me is that you should just grow your own. Like, don't necessarily go out and hire someone, because I constantly hear, and I am a dog trainer, so I constantly hear from people who are saying, I can't find a dog trainer. They're all busy, or they're all, you know, they want to do something else, or they don't mesh with my vision and mission and values of my company, or they just have all these demands. And same thing, I think, with groomers. And I've always been a big proponent of, you know, you could grow your own trainer, like get somebody from that's already working with you, that's already a fit for your culture, and teach them. And that was one of the first things when I met you, Joe, that you started talking about immediately. And so I just want you to talk a little bit about that as well, and that you don't have to go find a groomer. You may have a groomer already on your staff that just hasn't been taught how to groom yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's a great point.
And an owner who's signed up for your program, literally, this is her opportunity. Grooming's been shut down, and she's got 16 groomers, and she has not loved the attitude that they brought through this whole process. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to take, so she just signed up for Paragon.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic to hear.
I've got to learn to do this. I've got to train my own. I've got to reset the culture. So
that's great to hear. Thanks for sharing that, Candace. Yeah, you're right, Robin. And, you know, I've been in grooming. I've been in some form of grooming, whether it's on the service side or on the product side for, like I said, I'm just entering my 35th year. And it's the same problem now. It's the same problem as 35 years ago. There's just not enough groomers to go around. And probably more now than ever, because more service-based businesses, just like we're talking right now, are requiring more grooming professionals. And if there's not enough to go around, well, then what do? All you're doing possibly is just trading groomers from one establishment to the next. And really, it doesn't necessarily, if everybody's fishing out of the same pond, right, you're just going to catch everybody else's fish at some point, right? So I love dog groomers. Dog groomers are like artists. You know, if you know a musician or a sculptor or a painter, I mean, they're all unique, right? They've got this creative spirit about them. But one thing that I know for sure is that there's just not enough of them to go around. So how do you then take the bull by the horns and solve that? You grow your own. But that can be kind of intimidating for people that might run a lodging establishment or a daycare establishment or a training establishment or retail, because you don't know grooming. So how are you going to grow groomers when you don't know grooming yourself? Well, that's why Paragon, we kind of took that challenge full force, and we created a way for us to partner together and help you train your future groomers. So you're not recruiting groomers. You know, listen, if there's a groomer available in a landscape where a career landscape where groomers are in great demand, if there's a groomer available, there's usually a reason. And I know immediately we think of something bad, but I'm not thinking all bad. And that I guess is part of it as well. But most of the time, they might have just moved into an area. Maybe they're chasing a spouse's career, or maybe they're a new graduate and they're available, right? But I will tell you that usually there's a reason, and they're not available long. So again, another reason to grow your own. So what we do is we provide all of the expertise in order to pull them along. We actually even give you one of I am also part of the virtual conference. I've got 4 seminars, and a couple of them are just one of them is just making the case of adding grooming. So we call it Grooming Goldmine. And just the revenue potential there. And one of them is literally stop hiring groomers. So I don't want to let the cat out of the bag as well, but that Stop Hiring Groomers is a really great seminar to sit in on, because we talk about what are the steps of recruiting tomorrow's groomers, not necessarily today's groomers. And then, of course, it all really does depend on providing a culture that people don't want to leave. And that's a culture in any workplace whatsoever. So those are some really great transferable principles or standards that you can set not only in your business, but business overall. So yeah, excited to be part of the 2-day event coming up at the end of April. And again, pet care service providers have a real opportunity to offer a full experience for pet parents, because if you don't, here's one of the risks. If you don't offer grooming, and you are a lodging or resort center or a daycare center or a training center, if you don't offer grooming, that customer, you're actually inviting that customer to go and try somebody else who might offer the same services that you do, because they offer complete care, and they only have to be happy one time, and you've lost that customer forever. So are you inviting people to go and take their business to somebody else? Quick stories. I have a veterinarian friend who is in Indianapolis, has multiple hospitals. And I was on a ride along with him once, and I was doing some consulting work for him. And he said, Joe, let me tell you the difference between being a veterinarian and being having veterinary services and having grooming services. He said, I can rebuild a dog after being hit by a car. I can put all the screws and pins and plates and rods and everything else in this dog, save the dog's life. But if we screw up that dog's haircut one time, we've lost that customer.
That's so true.
And that here we are. He probably told me that 20 years ago, and I still share that story to anybody that'll listen, whether you ask for it or not. You got it. But just know you don't be intimidated by dog grooming. Sit in on the seminars on the 29th and 30th, and I'll be able to show you a really great pathway. I know some of the members that are on right now, I do some work with, and we've trained some of their people already. So maybe they can chime in. I see a couple of familiar names. And Candace, to your point, you have somebody that apparently is a really great new Paragon fan. So we're excited to have them on board as well. So don't just take it from me, take it from the people that have been able to do this and put it into place. And I think you're going to be real happy with the results.
Yeah, and we do have a couple of comments. We get Josie Mickey said she was a museum for years and gave up. So maybe it's time to try again. So I would definitely.
That's awesome. She's opened her mind to trying again.
Yeah.
Good job, Candace.
That's right. Come to Retail 101, that session, and you will be prepared. You're going to be so prepared this time. It's going to be a home run.
Exactly. And then Jen says, Candace is a master at Facebook Live sales and gamifying sales. Can't wait for the conference. I will tell you that I don't care what you do with Candace, you're going to have fun. You're going to learn stuff, but at the very least, you're going to have fun, because Candace is all about fun. It's one of the reasons we love talking to her. But she is actually a master at really understanding retail. We had her on one of our online programs. We actually had asked Candace to come and do a 30-minute session. I think this was probably like 9 months ago or something. And I was moderating it. And I just remember like totally going into spectator mode and taking notes and stuff. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh crap, I'm supposed to be like actually monitoring this thing for her. But it was so good. And in that 30-minute session, I learned so many things about retail. So definitely great. So, and then we did have a question, Joe, this is for you, from Doreen. She said, I have a grooming salon and have had too many problems with finding a good groomer, or one that has a good work ethic and stays. I'm thinking of leasing my salon out. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, again, one thing I wanted to also mention is that during this time, when we're all faced with maybe having a little bit of extra time on our hands, it's a great time to invest in people. Investing in people is one of the best investments you can make, especially if you have a partner that can help you through their training and getting them up to speed so that when we do, and it's not a question of if, but when we do turn the lights back on and we all get back to work in whatever form or fashion, a ramp up period, however slow or fast it happens, you're then prepared. So it's a great opportunity to consider doing that. For that particular person asking a question, yeah, again, it's one of those challenges, right? It's one of those challenges that's it's been difficult to manage. It's been difficult to manage those people. And one of the things I talk about in my seminar on it's on the 29th or 30th is you really can't manage dog groomers. Groomers can be led, and there's a difference between managing and leading people. And it depends on the personality of the giver and the taker in that regard, in that relationship. But when you talk about leasing out your facility, you're probably starting to talk about, a 1099 type of workforce and getting into, renting space or leasing out space. I don't want to say it's a terrible idea, but I don't know that it's the best idea. I mean, it really, you give up all control at that point. Other than just being a landlord, essentially. So I've got strong feelings one way or the other on that, probably way more than we could talk about on this particular time. Well, I'm happy to talk to you through that on an offline conversation. If you want to reach out to me directly, we can talk you through that. But I will tell you though, guaranteed, I turned the corner probably, oh goodness, 25 years ago with dog groomers, maybe even longer now. When I, as a young manager, found it very difficult. When I say young, I mean young in age, of course, but also young in just expertise and experience. I found it difficult to manage a high volume grooming salon or a chain of them at that point. And I made the mental switch that we're not going, if we get a groomer that lands in our lap that is just phenomenal, maybe it's somebody that's chasing a spouse's career or whatever, and they're just dynamite, fantastic. But that wasn't what I was going to hang my hat on. What I was going to hang my hat on is developing people. What's really great is what I discovered is that these people that I was helping to develop were actually creating a new career for themselves. And that was very, very rewarding. I'll tell you that most of those people stayed with us for a long, long time. And 90% of that workforce at that particular chain right now are homegrown. So, you get to establish culture and a relationship with those people well before they are trained up and experts in dog grooming. So certainly growing your own is one. And Mark, you probably feel the same way sometimes about dog trainers and Candace with retail operator. I mean, retail providers. So what a great way to help somebody realize a dream of maybe even a new career, a new tool in their tool belt for their career.
Right. So Mark, I know APDT's they've got so many speakers and topics that you guys can talk about that honestly, we're trying to fit everything in right now as my project for the day, but kind of what are you guys focused on helping people do right now?
Well, we do have several speakers that are going to be presenting many different topics. We have a speaker that is going to be talking about, doing a personality analysis on your dog, the dog and the human relationship. And if, it's a great program. It's called Canine Colors. And it's a really good, if you've got a client that has a dog and you're having, even in the grooming industry, if you're having some challenges with, the dog not cooperating with you, Canine Colors is amazing to help you kind of determine and figure out what exactly is the personality of this dog and how is it not meshing with your personality or the interaction with a staff member. It's a phenomenal program. We're also, one of our big concerns in the training industry is what is going to happen with all of these dogs when their owners go back to work. How much, preventing the separation anxiety going forward, sheltering your dog in place, phenomenal program that is going to be available to you. And, that's one of our really big concerns going forward. We also have an attorney that is going to be speaking. She's also a trainer and a board member. She's going to be talking about the legal aspects of your business and the COVID-19 and how that can potentially impact your business. There's several speakers that are going to be talking about the social media, doing your session online, teletraining through Zoom, how to set that up and how to market that program through social media. It's a phenomenal program, phenomenal session. And Trevor Smith is one of our major experts and does a phenomenal job in making it so simple on how to use social media to get your message out there. And even how to set up social media, how to set up a Zoom call, how to set up a Facebook or FaceTime or, Facebook Live session. And then something that I think is going to be a really important class session for everybody is how to build that relationship between getting your staff to come back to work with you, how to coordinate with your staff, when do they return, how soon, in building that business plan with your staff to make sure that you're communicating with your staff, your customers, your neighbors, what's coming up and how and when are you going to be opening up your business for the future. And then we also have pets and people thriving and learning together during a difficult time. A lot of my clients that I've been doing private sessions with, they're so involved in the kids are home. They've got, all of the house chores that they haven't been doing it, because they've been working, and now trying to mesh all of that together. That's another great opportunity for how to balance home, your training, your dogs. And then we also are going to have one on pet loss and how to help your clients be able to handle the loss of a pet and build that into your business model. So there's a lot of information there. I wish I had more time to go over with all of you, but it's going to be a phenomenal program and several different professionals presenting to you.
Yeah, and I know I've just started seeing the schedules were coming together, as Susan mentioned, trying to put this big jigsaw puzzle of 5 different organizations and how that's going to lay out for the 5 different tracks. But I do know for APDT, several of the speakers, and they're all phenomenal. So Beth Bowers is doing the one on colors, I'm assuming.
Yes. Yes, she
I
is.
took a lesson from her at APDT a couple years ago, and she's amazing. She's also super fun. So Candace,
Yes, she
you really
is.
like Beth Bowers if you don't know her.
And you'll love
She's a
Potato.
super fun person.
Yeah.
And then Heidi, who I love Heidi's session because she is a lawyer, but she's also a dog trainer, and she's also on the board of APDT. So she brings a very unique way of understanding the whole training client, the training business, and then as a trainer, how that impacts you legally and those kinds of considerations. So I love that she's doing that session too. So
And then we have Megan that is also who is our past chair, who is going to be presenting. And she's got multiple locations in Canada and is a thriving business. So
yeah. So the funny thing was I was asked to speak this year at APDT, and one of the topics I was supposed to speak on, I don't know if I'm still doing this topic or not, I have to ask Jennifer, but was how to create an online training program. And I had people saying, that's just weird. I don't know if people are going to attend that. And now I'm just like, see, I was like ahead of my time trying to figure out, teach people how to do that. But I feel like by the time of the conference, they're going to already have figured that out because of COVID-19. So,
but I really think, Robin, that a lot of people are trying to bring their online program together. But yet back in their mind, they're still so frustrated that they are still homebound.
Right.
And, so a lot of people that I've spoken to are trying to do so many different things all at once. And then everybody's level of frustration gets the best of them.
Right.
So I think it's a really good thing that we need to move forward and continue to train is online, teletraining.
Right.
Because
And
I
I
think
think that may end up becoming part of the business model moving forward, even once you go back to having live lessons. Like, I don't think it's either or scenario.
Well, I
And
have-
that's part of the thing
Yeah.
we're trying to help people realize is that as your business adds these new services and looks for ways frankly, out of desperation, because we all need revenue right now, look at the other side of that and say some of these might actually be worth keeping on the other side of COVID-19, and they might
Well,
just
And like
build-
for me, what has been interesting is I'm getting clients that are 60 and 70 miles away from me that I would never drive to do a private session, but they're now doing teletraining.
yeah, so
Well,
it
'cause,
actually expand your reach.
absolutely, because finding a really good dog trainer you trust in your local market is not always easy. And so, yeah, being able to open up and get referrals through family and friends is awesome. So,
But if I can add from a grooming perspective about dog trainers, boy, oh boy, what a great luxury to have is somebody that, because dog groomers aren't necessarily dog behaviorists or dog trainers, right? But we're saddled with having to deal with behavior issues when the pets are in our care temporarily for grooming, for a haircut or a bath, and having a trainer as part of our grooming establishment to me is almost a requirement. Because there are certain things we kind of coined the phrase table training. So we would have our trainer work with our groomer, and especially for puppies or for dogs that don't come in very often for grooming, and having a trainer who thinks that way with a groomer who thinks this way, what a great combination, and providing that pet the best experience. And it also then introduces the grooming client to now a trainer who can help that dog have better manners at home. And at the end of the day, I don't know, Mark, maybe you'll agree, but it's about manners. I mean, it's about a pet being a really great creature, a really great force to have in the home. In many cases, that's what a lot of our pet parents have always wanted, is they just want a dog that behaves well in the home, and just and when they're in the grooming salon, the groomers love dogs that behave on the table.
But
So-
then, and the other thing too that is happening is with it being springtime, there's all of these new puppies. People,
Right.
oh, I'm home all day long now. I'm going to go out and get a puppy. And, so now that they've got this puppy and, everybody's home and, they're all excited because they have a puppy, but then they're going to go back to work. And so, I do a lot of puppy consults with how to, slowly and gradually separate yourself, to go back to work, and puppy behaviors and socialization and crate training and those kinds of things. And all of those things are really even a mate for a trainer to network with a groomer when a puppy comes in is an ideal, partnership.
Well, and Mark, you talked about all of the dogs that are going to need some manners training or some brush up on training because of separation anxiety, or my wife, I mean, our little dog, he's in her lap all day long now. She doesn't work from home typically, but she is now. When she goes back, I don't know what he's going to do with himself, right? So he's going to need that. But think about all of the for all of you lodging facilities and daycare facilities that are out there, or even just straight up just retailers that are out there. Your customers are going to have ungroomed dogs. These dogs they have went weeks, and sometimes, I hope not months, but in some cases, several weeks, maybe even a month or two longer than what they typically would be groomed. And we're doing a lot of work to try to prepare for the ungroomed, the rush of the ungroomed. So we're going to be facing that in all of the pet care service providers are going to be facing that. So if there was ever a time to consider, and you don't have to start with, if you have no grooming, that's okay. You don't have to start full blown with grooming. Start off with some people that can do some basic work for you, trained professionals that are trained in safety and handling and the basic foundational skills of dog grooming, so that you can provide that service. What a great revenue opportunity when we start ramping back up the business.
Yeah, we have a retailer in Omaha, the Green Spot in Omaha. They just do, I think it's like once a month, they'll do like a Saturday, like nail trimming day.
Mhm.
And I think they probably do like 200 nail trims sometimes, but they've got, people in there that know how to do nail trims, and they're not even providing a full service grooming experience, but they provide as a retailer that day that, and do these added services. So there's a
Yeah,
lot.
you can start off with a farm team. So you could start off with people that have the foundational skills. We call them groom techs. You can start off with groom techs, a small team of groom techs that don't do any haircuts. To your point, Candace, right? So they do all of the baths, the brushes, the nail trimming, the light trimming on feet and feathers and such. But then you watch to see which one of them grow to be maybe tomorrow's groomer, and then you can invest in their training for grooming. And then so you start off with this kind of minor league team approach, and that's a really great way to start growing your own team. So
Well, my
to your point,
question
that's
is,
a great thing. Start off with a weekend nail clinic, you know.
my question that I often ask people, when they say, I've lost a lot of business, is, are you ready for when this is all over?
Right.
Are you ready for that? Because as a trainer, I'll tell you, it's gonna, you're going to be busy because there's going to be a lot of different behaviors that dogs are going to come up with that you haven't maybe even seen before or even thought of. And for a daycare operator or a boarding facility, you think all these people that have been, that have cabin fever now, you don't think they're going to be booking vacations and
Sure
going out of
hope so.
town, weekend vacations and going out of town. So if you've got a business, that does daycare boarding training, you better start hiring and getting ready now because it's going to hit when it hits.
Yeah, and on that market, just not to speak for Beth from Pet Sitters International, but I know too, dog walkers and pet sitters, they they can elevate and charge higher prices if their team becomes trainers, right? And they can do training on walks, and they can have a whole process that their walkers follow that help improve behavior issues with pets too, right?
Well,
So
and
it will be a
Candace,
downside.
that's a great point for grooming as well. We've got a lot of home groomers sprouting up now. So a lot of them are pet sitters or pet dog walkers that buy a fold up table and learn the fundamentals of grooming, so that again, that they have the fundamentals of pet care, fundamentals of training, and then the fundamentals of grooming. That's a pretty valuable partner in the pet's well-being.
Yeah, and for Beth, they are pet sitting and dog walking does have tracks at our upcoming conference. They're focusing on both how current pet sitters and those that may be considering adding these services can prepare to have a strong framework, because they do know things are going to return to normal. Because prior to the pandemic, they were witnessing that these services continue to increase, and it will again. And I think the reason we think Pet Sitters International is so important and to get training is because it is a profession. They separate themselves from people that do this as a hobby. They take it very seriously and have protocols and standards in place. And so we're real excited to learn from Beth and her team of experts, how to do pet sitting and dog walking right. And then you have more flexibility. If something happens in your center and you can't care, you can go out. I think it's a great, just diversifying your income, your revenue streams is so important. That's one of the things Robin and I are going to talk about. And part of the reason we wanted to add these other tracks was to give you everything you needed to kind of revision your business as a new and improved kind of 2.0 version of what it was before the pandemic.
Yeah, and we do have some comments. Debbie Oliver said, "I may never leave my facility again. I love my Zoom consults." Dog trainer. I actually heard that from another dog trainer that was in Virginia, where I took Ranger when he was a puppy. So I just think it's interesting.
Think about how much time you save in travel, that you could be doing other consults and making money.
I was going to say, I actually use a professional pet sitter in my area for my dog when we have to go like to Denver, and I know that's about 2 hours away from us, and I know I might be up there long. And so we have a pet sitter that I will schedule to come in. But I remember so think about this from my perspective, because I do consider myself a pet professional. I've been in the pet industry for 20 some years. I'm a certified trainer. I do daycare and boarding, but I've never actually been in the pet sitting side of that. But I figured I knew what I needed to know when I hired a pet sitter. I had my radar up, and I found somebody, and I got some referrals, and I checked them out. And then they obviously came over to meet Ranger and my family, my husband and I. But the person that came over also asked me a boatload of questions about everything. And then there was a form to fill out. I remember when he left thinking, he asked me questions I would not have told him. Like, I didn't even think to know that he should know that. And I was amazed and super impressed with just the quality of the professionalism. And again, I think that's a big difference between asking the neighbor next door to, you know, walk your dog or take care of your dog for a day, or when you're out of town or whatever, and taking your dog to a professional pet sitter, dog walker, lodging facility or whatever. So definitely there is room for a lot of pet sitting services. We know some of our clients that already have pet sitting, and they were able to transition some of their services into other things, like, hey, if you can't go out because you're at stay-at-home orders now, we'll still come over and take your pet out. If you have to work from home and maybe your dog's bothering you, our pet sitter actually is willing to come over and do cleanup in our yard. So, you know, no contact, but we're still getting snow in Colorado. So snow shoveling services is actually one of the services they offer. They'll also come over and clean your yard of the dog poop if you want them to do that. So there's a lot of ways that you can add pet sitting and a lot of other revenue streams, even within pet sitting. One of our clients actually also does a whole, this is sort of an offshoot of pet sitting in a way, but she does a whole wedding concierge service where more and more people want their dogs in their wedding. She actually offers a service where they assign somebody to the wedding just to oversee and handle and manage the dog. And so that person is the one that holds the dog when the bride and groom are doing all their pictures, and then we'll walk up to get the dog positioned for the picture, and then able to take the dog away from the crowds, which I thought was an amazing service as well. So just so many different ideas is amazing. All right, we have a ton of kind of questions and comments coming in. Several, they're just kind of all over the place. So lots of questions about sort of training a trainer, and a lot of people are saying they have sent their trainers to school. So I don't know, Mark, if you want to address a little bit about where they can find on APDT's website a list of schools and how to kind of choose a school for
Sure.
dog training.
Yes. So if you go onto the APDT website, which is apdt.com, and you can click on the education tab, and that will actually tell you all of the webinars that we have available, educational programs, and the schedules that we have. And then you also, if you go over to once you're on our website and you go to the resource center tab, that will also display for you all kinds of really cool webinars and informational sheets on how to become a trainer, where to go to look for training, training for a trainer. It will list some programs that are available online, as well as programs that you can actually go to in a school. Sorry here, my computer's playing music all of a sudden here.
That's modern day, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what, something's
Zoom call
happening
coming
here.
up.
So, oh, okay, well, sorry about that, guys, but I don't know. Okay, there we go. But if you go, and it will also be a really good resource for people that are looking for a trainer. So let's say, for example, if you have a business like a grooming salon or a retail location, and you're looking for a trainer, there's a really good resource there as well on how to find a trainer. So the website is really very interactive, and some really great training sessions, webinars. Even if you're just a pet parent, there's some really good informational sources there for you too, as well as on our Facebook page.
Awesome. We do have several people kind of talking about retail, and there's everything from retail sucks, it's so hard, and it's a lot of money too. I used to think that until I started working with Candace. So I'm just gonna, here's the example I'm gonna give. And I think I was just talking to somebody about this. So at the Dog Gurus, we offered a trick training program. And that was something we did early on to help pet care professionals, where we said, we have this program. The Dog Gurus is actually a business to business company. So we don't really
Mhm.
sell to pet parents, but we had something that pet parents might want. So we allowed people to sell this trick training program to their clients so that you could hopefully make money. But what I found interesting about that is the exact same program. We provided marketing. We provided like the details of how you do it. Some people are knocking it out of the park and other people's are not. And here's what I'm just going to tell you. It's all about your execution of it, because this is this literally, we gave out the exact same information to a ton of people, and what they did with it varied. For some people, it's kind of the museum analogy that Candace gave earlier. For some of the people, they just plopped something on their website and went, wow, this isn't selling. And for other people, they were promoting the heck out of it. They plopped it on their website, but then they also were doing social media. They were, sending out emails, and multiple emails, not just like one, and they were selling a ton of them. So I think retail, grooming, training, I think all of those are in the same boat. I've heard the same thing from some of the people who are now offering virtual training. Some are selling a ton of them, some are not. I mean, some of it is like, let's just not blame the end result on the end result by itself. Like you have to take some responsibility to say, maybe there's some things you could learn more about marketing, or learn more about how to post on social media, or learn all of those things, I think, come into play. I think retail is the same thing.
And the other thing,
Others not.
the other thing too, that I think a lot of businesses are kind of falling short on is gift cards. I mean, there's so many different electronic gift cards now that you can, create online and put a link on your social media page or a link on your website. I thought it was really kind of interesting. I thought, well, who's going to buy a gift card? Once I put it out there, it was amazing the number of gift cards that were sold. On the website or social media, and you can purchase the gift card, and they can use them for somebody, for themselves, or they can, use them in the future, give them as a gift. And so it's an easy revenue generator for everybody.
Well, and
So
back to Robin's point, if you really have a negative perception and feeling about retail, that you think it would be important for your business, maybe you have a manager that would love it and thrive having that responsibility, and empower them to do it, set some boundaries for them, that you don't have to do everything. But I think have an open mind, because it is important that whoever is responsible for these areas really embrace them and want to do it, because that comes across to your clients.
Actually, that retail sucks thing, there's a chance that it's the retailers who are taking it too. I wouldn't be surprised. Retail is hard. It does suck sometimes. It's hard. You've got to manage all that inventory. You've got to get it ordered. You got to price it. You got to put it out. You got to display it. You got to teach your. And then customers, what they call showroom you, right? They come into your store and they learn everything from you, and then they go find it online, right? And then you've got. I had a customer throw a bag of dog treats once at one of my employees because we wouldn't return it or take it back or something, right? So retail, it's just like, all business it's hard. And you know what? If things were easy, then everybody would be doing it, right? Everybody would be an entrepreneur. But all of us that are here right now, what we've accomplished and what everybody who's watching here has accomplished, we're a very small percentage of the population who have the courage and the guts to go build our own companies and then be able to, as I love what this conference title is, right? Rebound, rebuild, and recover, is that, no matter what has happened, there are people watching who their businesses are closed. They don't have any money. They've laid off all their employees, and they're wondering what the hell is going to happen, right? They're very scared, and there's a lot to be scared about, but I think all of us here can say that you built it once, you will build it again. You will rebuild. you can do it, right?
Exactly.
And it's the opportunity to make your business different and something that you really will love and enjoy.
Yeah.
So a couple of quick comments, and then there are a lot of comments. We're not going to get to all of them because we're already at an hour, which I don't know. We never do these short videos. But anyway, a couple questions about pet sitting and grooming. Some are asking about grooming, whether it's a non-essential business or essential business, and then pet sitting, same thing. Are you allowed to pet sit? And that really is dependent on your state and some places, even your city. There are places where grooming has been deemed essential, and there are places where it has not. Our recommendation is this is a time to get involved with your local politics. So email and make sure that your community is aware of why you might think your particular services, whatever they are, might be considered essential. Also, let your local government know what you're doing to mitigate the contact. So for Beth posted earlier in the comments that for her pet sitters that are still walking dogs where it's allowed, they doing contactless, work. So you can either, we had somebody come over and install a dog door for us, which we had planned prior to COVID-19. It's just works conveniently that it happened during COVID-19 because now my dog needs the dog door more than ever. So he can go in and out on his own. But that person also does some pet sitting, and he said that they're doing pet sitting by having the people put their dogs in a crate. They'll text when they're there. The owner will put the dog in a crate on the front porch. They'll come up, clean the crate off, take the dog out, and then, do the opposite to get the dog back. So Beth was also mentioning in the comments earlier that they do a lot of the pet sitter will bring their own leash and, text the owner ahead of time. They do all the payment ahead of time, so they don't have to really even talk to the owner in advance. So there are ways you can do that. But we have heard from a lot of people who have been told their business needs to close, and then they go and send an email or letter or whatever to the mayor or the city council or the whatever that looks like in your area. And in some of those cases, they've been granted waivers to say, okay, I understand why you are an essential business. You can open, and just make sure you're taking precautions to do social distancing. So definitely take that into consideration. I think for the comments, we'll have all of you guys who are presenting, if you can go in and kind of answer the comments afterwards, because I don't think we're going to have time to answer all of them. But Susan, do you want to talk a little bit about the recovery conference real quick? And then we'll let everyone go.
Yeah, we are super excited. April 29th and 30th, you get a full track of informations and sessions from the Dog Gurus, plus Paragon, plus APDT, plus Pet Boss Nation, and Pet Sitters International. So we're going to have 5 tracks of training. You are going to be able to get up from your computer. We're not going to sit you there like you would be at a live seminar all day. There's going to be a lot of breaks because we also have a virtual exhibit hall and sponsors that are making this possible. We're using a professional virtual conference platform, and those have been around a long time. I think 12 years, the one we've selected. So it's going to be a fun experience. Yours also chat, so there's going to be interaction. You're going to get to be able to chat and ask questions just like you've been doing in these Facebook Lives with all the speakers and the sessions that you attend live. And if any of you have been to any of the Dog Gurus live events, you know that one thing we love is to give away prizes. And our sponsors have come through with prizes for us. So you will also still be able to earn some of the fabulous prizes that we have during the virtual conference, but you have to attend live. And so I'm sure the link to register for the conference is in the chat. It's $89. It's a low price point for all the education that you're going to get.
And I will say that I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. That never really works well. The conference is on April 29th and 30th. Those who do register, we obviously encourage you to show up live so that you can talk to the exhibitors, the speakers, and other attendees all live while you're on the computer that day. We are going to have, because we've had this question a lot, like there's a lot to choose from now that we have 5 tracks. So the chances that during one given time, there's going to be more than something you want to hear or listen to is great. So we are allowing 90-day on-demand access. That won't start until 48 hours after the live event ends. We will have 90 days of on-demand access. So if you register, you will have that on-demand access for 90 days to go back and rewatch anything. Obviously the prizes and the chats available only during the live. And then we did get some questions from some folks who who just are saying, I just can't afford it. Even we tried to keep the price as low as possible at $89. Well, ironically, we were having a Zoom call last night with some of our vendor friends. It was really a happy hour with some friends that we typically see at conferences, and we aren't seeing them now. So we set up a little happy hour. And Blue Nine Pet Products is one of our diamond sponsor, has always been our diamond sponsor. And they offered to set up some scholarships for people. So literally that happened last night. So we don't totally know how that's going to work yet, but we can say that we will have some scholarships, and we'll let people know how they can apply for those. And hopefully, you know, if you really are needing this, but just really don't have the money right now, then we're going to have a way, hopefully, to help a few folks that way through the generosity of Blue Nine Pet Products. So keep looking on our Facebook page and social media on how that's all going to play out. Anything else, Susan? Oh, I will say this is very cool, really quick. Betsy said, we contacted our state and are able to reopen our daycare and boarding, plus groom dogs with a vet letter stating it is essential for that pet. We got flooded with vet letters for dogs needing grooming. I thought that was awesome. So really great job, Betsy. Oh, I also have to just say a shout out to Ellen, who got her EIDL loan. Totally
Oh,
not
that's the
having
first.
anything to do with this conference, but that's the first person I've heard that's gotten their EIDL loans. We've heard from tons of people now that have gotten their PPPL. So way to go, Ellen. Congratulations. All right, Susan, I'll let you close us out.
All right. Well, I just want to thank Joe, Mark, Candace, and Beth for coming on today, and your organizations participating with us. And these are awesome folks. We're very proud to count you as part of our conference, and we just can't wait to all be there together on 29th and 30th. So thank you guys.
Happy to be there.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.